Back at this 1958 EverReady SkyLeader. Quick recap from the last part. Got it kind of sort of working on medium wave. The alignment's way off, but there's still a couple of loose wires to deal with. We have the long wave coil. We're supposed to go somewhere here, and yeah, try to make it work on long wave, and then go through and do the alignment. That's the plan. Trying to work out where these wires go. So the most obvious one I want to get working is this one here. This is L3, L5. There's two windings over the top of each other. And I think this is the long wave antenna coil. So that's the reason long wave isn't working. One end of the antenna coil is open. So looking at the schematic, we can see L3, L5 is here. One end of it goes up to a switch, and the other end goes down to via R2 C4. Certainly for L3 anyway. Looking closely at the coil, if we'll focus, we can see we have one of the windings comes over here, so we're just left with one winding to deal with, and I think this is L3, and I think it needs to go to this tag here, which comes to this wire, which goes to R2 and C4 here and R1 here. So I'll keep looking, see if I can confirm that. So I tinned the wires so I can get a connection onto them, just for buzzing out where they're currently going. So this one, which I thought was the L2 C4 end, R2 C4 end of L5, isn't. It turns out the end that's connected currently down here is the end I'd identified as the end that goes to R2 C4, which means this end must be the end that goes to switch 4. Look at the schematics. So I'm on this end of L5. So the only tag, so the black and yellow wires go to switch S3, S4. S3 is connected up. S4, there's no connection, and if I zoom down a bit, you may be able to see there's a broken wire. If we focus, there's a broken wire, so I suspect that's where my wire needs to go, so I'll tack that in and see if we have any luck. So I got the connection tacked on here. Pre-tinning the wire was a big help. I've still got this wire flapping in the breeze, but I know what this is. This is for the external antenna input jack, which I'm unlikely to use. I'll probably tack it to where it's got to go, but that's less important. So, does it work? This should be medium wave. Noise from the speaker. And station. Radio 5 Live probably. Some other stations, so it's coming in. It's already had a suspicion that medium wave worked. Long wave is what I'm trying to fix. So flicking over to long wave. There's crackling from the speaker, which I didn't get before, so it's a good start. And Adjusting the tuning. There's not very much on long wave these days, but hopefully we can come across a station. Nothing. One thing I have noticed, and I'm not sure the cause yet, but even on medium wave you can be tuning across and hear nothing. It's very quiet, and if you hit a strong station it seems to kick the radio into life. So, let's try that. And now we're getting a station on long wave. It's noisy, there's a lot of background noise. Some of that might be my lights. Yeah. No, the lights don't appear to affect it. Yeah, station's on long wave now. I suspect the whole thing is way out of alignment. It does seem to need to receive a strong station to kick it into receiving anything. Something going on with the first transistor mixer, I don't know. Turn the volume down. Very nice strong station on medium wave, long wave now. So I'll count this as a win for now. I'm going to see what's next to do. So before I did anything too drastic to find out why strong signals were needed to kick it into gear, I just gave all of these another spray with deoxit and gave the surfaces a bit of a clean with a brush, and that seems to have made it start up pretty much immediately now.
This is LBC News. For more reaction now to the local and mayoral election results. The transport
we don't need that. So it seems to be working. Get a bit of motorboating at high signal levels, high volume levels. So I suspect these decoupling capacitors are no longer decoupling. I might go through and switch those out, or test them in circuit first and get some idea what's going on. But you know, it's a working radio at the moment. The alignment's still way off. I need to read the service details, see how to align this. It's on one page of the documents here. How to align it. Alignment summary. It looks like I'm missing one of the pages I need. Oh no. See, alignment summary starts there. Injecting a signal in and carries through into here with what needs to be done. So IF is 470 kilohertz, modulated 30%, very low levels, and see what happens. Okay, something to play with in a bit. Getting ready to test some of these capacitors, ESR. Desoldered this end, and yet more evidence this radio has been worked on before. Someone's had a fiddle anyway. They put the sleeve from one of these capacitors over a more modern one, so it's at least had some work done on it. I mean, they never got close to making it work, but they've done something. So yeah, I'll test these and come back with some idea what's happening with them all. So quickly measuring up this capacitor, just on the Chinese meter. 130 microfarads, ESR about 5 ohms. Not perfect, but yeah, could be worse. Let's check the other capacitor. clipped on, and 156 ESR, about 4.5 ohms. So again, not horrific, could be better, could be a bit worse. Not sure what value that capacitor should be. Is it that C24? Just looking at the data, C24 should be 100 microfarad, so it's drifted a bit. I may go through and just put new capacitors in those two places. Just some results for these ones. This one is completely open circuit, and this is 157 microfarads at about 4 ohms ESR. So this should be 100 microfarad. This one, not sure what that should be. I think it's supposed to be about 8 microfarad. Oh yeah, 8 microfarad is just readable there. So that's completely open circuit. So I'll probably put a 10 in there. Switch these out for some more modern 100s. I don't think I've got any axial leaded parts. I'll have to check the parts bin. On further testing, none of the capacitors I've got in stock, which may have been okay to replace these, actually test any better than these parts. I mean, they're closer on the capacitance, but I don't think that's going to be a great issue. ESR tests about the same. So the fact these are 150 instead of 100, I don't think it's here nor there. And given the role they're in, I don't think 4 ohms is going to do much. The only one I have replaced was the one that was reading completely open circuit. This one's left in. I was slightly concerned with the way it's been tacked in at the end. I suspect this might be another aftermarket replacement. So yes, about time to put some more power on this and see what happens. So the radio's definitely working. It seems a bit livelier. Might just be the band conditions have changed by the evening. But there's still a sort of bit of a squeal tuning between stations. I wonder if that's a decoupling capacitor issue. A couple of capacitor plates are touching there as I tune. So it's working. It's a lot better than it was. We switch to medium wave. That's strange. Medium wave was a lot livelier. Oh, there we go. So the signal's all up and down the band. I will go through and align it. Maybe take a look at the circuit diagram, figure out where the squealing's coming from. Trying to figure out what the squealing issue is between stations on this EverReady SkyLeader. And was sort of browsing around the circuit diagram, and sort of squealing between stations suggests it's probably sort of AFC capacitor. Well, they're usually microfarads. I was just generally looking around, and there was nothing obvious. Yeah, would have expected something around here, but these are all fairly low value capacitors. C22 is a couple of microfarads, but that's just a coupling into the driver. Everything else around here is non-polarized and sort of about 0.1 microfarad. So we're just going back through the stages. This is a 0.1, this is a 0.1. This is supposed to be an 8 microfarad. When I checked it, it was alternating on the meter between open circuit and about 20 microfarads in series with 1 kilo ohm. And that was with one end disconnected. So I pulled it out, yeah, and it's not a capacitor, or not a very good capacitor anymore. So I switched it out. I've tacked in a 10 microfarad 15 volt part, 16 volt part in there for now, and the radio's a lot better. Turn the volume down a bit. It's still not perfect. Some of the whistle, I think, is just the oscillator drifting on startup. But there's no horrible howl between stations, no motorboating. So it seems to be a worthwhile fix. So now I'm thinking I might go through and align the radio, and that might also take out some of the other whistle. I suspect the IF strip is drifted a bit. So not doing too bad so far. I've done 1 capacitor replacement on this radio and 3 transistors. So yeah, not doing too badly so far. Looking again at the circuit diagram to get some idea about this AVC capacitor, or automatic volume control, realised that instead of just looking at the capacitors, I could have just done the really obvious thing, which is look, detector diode here, resistor takes a sniff off, and if I just follow it down, we come under the B plus line, or ground in this. It's a totally separate line which comes up to this capacitor, and then the signal, small voltage, through the inductor into the base to change the gain of this transistor. So this is definitely the capacitor to be checking. Obviously makes sense when you look to see what's going on. So it does make sense. Just pay attention to the circuit diagram. In fact, there's a line under and a bridge. Yeah, suddenly becomes more obvious. Going through trying to align the radio now. I've got just a tiny SA set up as a signal source, 470 kilohertz, which is the IF on this. In theory, the radio wants me to connect down to the grounded end of this capacitor, but not disconnect any of these wires or that resistor, which is difficult. So I've just coupled in just via a DC block, 0.1 microfarad capacitor, directly into the other end of this. Close enough. Nice bodge of SMA to capacitor to blob of solder, and obviously I don't have the ground shield connected up. If I connect the ground shield up, it works better. So might go through and do that. Problem I'm going to have is the coil in here is totally fractured, so I might have to chip that out and see if I've got a spare. I did just have a hunt through the junk box and I found this, which looks to be about the right size. No idea if it's the right thread or correct material, but something to play with. I did manage to get the core out of this one, which was fracturing. It came out in pieces. Get it on camera. Yeah, it just totally shattered. So somebody had been in with a screwdriver. Had a look. I've got a selection of different cores, but they're all a bit too small diameter. Closest one I had, I've got in there, and I've just got a bit of wire insulation material around it to see if I can make it fit a bit better. It seems to be working. If I turn the modulation on, we can hear there's a signal getting through, and as I push this further in, it gets louder, which It also starts chewing up the core because I'm using a metal tool when I shouldn't be. Let me see if I can find a plastic tool. Located a plastic tool, so let's come back to this. So, already pushed it in some way. We're at neg 37 dBm on the input now. If I turn the volume up a little bit, I can now try to peak this up. It seems to be about the best that gets. Let's come back and do the other cores. That's in about the sweet spot. Not easy to do this on camera. This is probably the first time actually aligning a radio on camera. Yeah, come back to this. Okay, I think this is about as close to aligned on the IF strip as I can manage. I've got certainly an audible signal down to neg 40 on the input, and I think I can go down 44. I can still just about hear it with the volume up. .45, there's something there. 46, just about audible. 47, I can hear it. Don't know if it's coming across on camera. 48, I can kind of hear it. 49, it's pretty much gone at that point. So, don't actually know how that compares to what it should be. But let's unsolder this and then maybe see just how out of alignment the dial is as well. That wasn't entirely successful. The radio is now doing nothing. So back on medium wave, tune across, nothing at all at the speaker. Connect up the SIGGEN again and see what's going on, but I'm wondering if the oscillator has now drifted so far that it's no longer in the passband of the IF, so we're losing everything. I think this is the oscillator core, so I can have a poke around there and see what's happening. Didn't really get to film the alignment of this radio. I need to invest in a tripod or some way to hold the camera above the bench, so I don't need three hands. Ended up using the tiny SA just as a signal source, with just a whip antenna just close by the ferrite rod. Lining up medium wave was just a case of get it on medium wave, going to each end of the band, peaking up the low end of the band with this core, and peaking up the high end of the band with these two capacitors. Long wave, switch to long wave, and peak up the low and high ends of the band using those two. Only other main difference I've done, let's have a bit more light, put a bit of heat shrink around these leads just to stop them shorting out. Cut the heat shrink a bit too short there, but it will do. Radio seems to work now. There's an issue, there's a dodgy connection somewhere here. If you put just the wrong amount of pressure on the tuning knob, the whole thing shuts down. There's actually a fairly strong station there, but you've got to get just the right pressure on the tuning knob, so there's something weird going on. I need to figure that out. I think what I'll probably do is, well, flip it over, try to find out what's going on here, and then get it back in the case and check the alignment once more. The alignment instructions say go to position 5, go to position 12 on the dial, which when you don't have a dial on is difficult. So I just fed in the correct frequencies and I'm in the dial position to look about right. Maximum capacitance, one end of the band, min capacitance, the other end of the band. So we'll see. Yeah, I think it needs to go back in the box now. Certainly seems a bit livelier than it was, and it's a massive improvement from when it first appeared on the bench when it was totally dead. It's been a fun little repair. Been playing with this a bit more before I put it back in the box, just because I'm getting this weird effect where the volume seems to vary depending on pressure on the tuning. It looks like there's some internal short in this capacitor. I just buzzed it out and everything seems to be a dead short to everything else. So that capacitor is C2 here, and the other half of it is C9, depending whether it's in medium or long wave mode. So I think with all the switches open, it shouldn't be connected in. Yeah, so C2 isn't connected into anything. There is a coil there. So I'm just going to pull off these wires and just buzz out the capacitor, just check that that's not shorting. A couple of the plates do look a bit distorted, so we'll see. Just wait for the soldering iron to warm up. Well, I tested the capacitor by taking it out of the circuit here and here, and the capacitor's not shorting, so the fact there is a short across and every which way on this seems to be intended behaviour. It must be connecting through a coil somewhere. Fairly low impedance route. It's showing as less than an ohm on the meter. So work out where to go next. Clean up this solder for a start. Obviously didn't have the soldering iron hot enough and the solder hasn't really flowed. It's still intermittent. I should probably demo it, but yeah, rocking, putting any sort of up and down pressure on this tuning seems to stop the radio working. Let's clip power back on, and we'll go medium wave. So that's maximum volume and it's very quiet. And I can change the volume just by rocking this up and down. So there's an intermittent somewhere. And it's gone. I haven't gone off tune. I've literally just moved this. So yeah, some more to find out. Just when I think I've fixed one problem with this radio, another one appears. So I'm still trying to diagnose very low audio. I mean, this is Radio 5 Live. This should be infinitely loud. So I was just going through checking the IF stages again, and yeah, if you pull that transistor out, it makes no difference to the volume. So, well, that transistor is dead. Well, it makes a bit of noise as you plug it in. These two are soldered on the back. I was able to get a bit of signal difference tweaking this core, but that only makes sense if something's happening with this transistor. So need to go and stare at the schematic again. It's definitely one step forward, 2 steps back at the moment. I mean, it's still working, but the signal levels are so low it's probably just operating as a TRF or something at the moment. It's not a... I need to check the oscillators running, so I think get the tiny SA out and see what's happening. And the oscillator does seem to be running. I mean, that's the local oscillator, and it's tracking. So the oscillator runs. I just need to start injecting a signal and see where it's getting to. There is a sort of slightly stronger station somewhere around here. But that's still... I can pull the other IF transistor out and it still works. So yeah, more steps. Got the thinking juice out and the schematic, so let's see how we get on. This is an annoying intermittent bug. If I have the LED panel lights on, it just wipes out the radio. So filming again with just a non-switch mode supply light. But I get a fairly strong signal now on Punjab radio. I figured out what the issue with this transistor was. It turned out I'd actually soldered another transistor underneath for testing, so didn't actually matter if this one was connected or not because there was another one in parallel with it. So I still don't quite... So I've just tuned away from and back through where that strong signal was, and now it's gone. The radio's totally quiet. This is weird. Okay, and now we're back. Getting a bit of a loss. The only thing I can think is the other core I put in here was a bit loose. It may have dropped down in movement, and that may have completely thrown off the IF alignment. I'll have to have a bit more of a play. What I might do is see if I can poke that core out and reposition it. Just super glue a cocktail stick to it or something so I can move it in and out and see what that does. Right, trying to do a realignment. You can hear by the whistle in the background that I'm getting a signal through. IF on this radio is 470 kilohertz. Sticking a 2 kilohertz AM signal in. At the moment, neg 47 dBm, just going in via a small capacitor. This stupid jumper lead is just to get a connection to ground. It's doing nothing otherwise interesting. And the radio seems to be working. I did glue a cocktail stick to the core to trim it. And that seems to be about the best position. Let's just go through, peek up the other cores. That's about the best there. And This one seems to have a fair amount of play in it, quite broadband. Right, that's worse. That's about the best it gets. Come back to the middle. Still about the best that gets. That's about the best that gets. So let's see if we can go down another 10 dB. Well, I can still hear it. So it's neg 57. That's better than I did with it before. So I think the IF strip is still aligned. So why do we not receive much? Still need to sort out this nasty solder joint. Let's warm the iron up and do that. Well, still none the wiser. I've melted a bit of candle wax just down here, just hold that core in place in the best position. Flipped to long wave and got a good strong signal. So I think I'm just going to get it back in the case so I can get the dials on and check the alignment with the dials in the right places. I guess some of it could just be it is a directional antenna. As I'm moving it around on the bench, I'm probably getting slightly more or slightly less signal into the thing. I could just connect it up to an external antenna and see if that makes a difference. Might do that, and then I think it's time to get it back in the case. The external antenna seems to be the what's helping. This is just a coax going up to a 2 metre collinear on the roof, just being used as a long length of wire basically. Stations are much stronger and there's more of them, so yeah, it looks like I was fighting against poor positioning of this. Probably the wrong time of year and wrong time of day to be listening on medium wave as well, and long wave, but yeah, much stronger stations. And even on long wave there's 1, 2, 3, 4 possibly stations across the whole band. So yeah, I think I'm going to call this a win. I'm putting it in the box now, giving up while I'm still ahead. Keep saying I'm going to get this chassis back in the case. Well, I took another look at the case and realised it was absolutely filthy. Whatever it is, 60 something years worth of dirt. So I've just given it a quick soak and a scrub just with some soft Scotch-Brite. It took a hell of a lot of shit off on the front. It's come up probably cleaner than it's been since it left the factory. The wood inside got a bit damp, so I'm going to let it all dry out overnight before I do any more. The speaker grill's a complete mess. It's been poked through at some point and stretched, so I've got that drying under a weight to see if that flattens it. If not, I'll have to think of how I can attach it to this. But yeah, making progress. This radio will go back together and it will work. This was only going to be a resurrection. I was only going to see if I could receive any signal on it, but it's not quite a restoration. It's somewhere between the two. The radio is finally back in the box. I took some time to try to stretch out the speaker cover cloth that was all stretched out. Cleaned up the front of the radio on the top. Took about 60 years worth of grime off of it. I think it was in the previous clip. I've put the knobs back on. I think I've got the tuning knob and the volume knob the wrong way round, because this one sticks up a bit high. So I think they're the wrong way round, but that's an issue to deal with later. The speaker grill's a bit clearer. As I was taping it back, I didn't judge where the tape was supposed to go, so I'll trim this off. Just masking tape holding it in, so a quick cut around with a blade will sort that out. Only problem with getting it back in the box is I seem to have lost long wave again. Medium wave is good and lively. Long wave isn't. So if I get this turned on, need to kill the LED lights because they will cause too much interference. There's
the T20 World Cup, another wicket.
some good strong stations.
Yes, indeed, Akshar Patel for
Radio 4, I think, or Radio 5 Live. And there's more stations. I've just got the radio in the wrong position to get the best signal. Unfortunately, long wave is totally silent. And I have tried injecting a signal with the tiny SA, but that still doesn't work either. So I've probably knocked a wire off or something while getting it back in the box. I think I'll leave it here for now. I'm kind of had enough with this project for the moment. It was only a resurrection. I was only aiming to see if I could actually get any sort of reception on it. The fact I've got it working at all, I'm happy with. So I think this one will go back on the shelf, and might swap it for somebody who wants a restoration job to tidy it up and finish it, and I'll look for another resurrection. But thanks for watching. Sorry it was such a long video. Sorry there were so many false starts, and hopefully the next thing that appears will be a more fun, interesting, and hopefully slightly shorter challenge. Cheers for now.